As President Obama and House Speaker John Boehner meet at the White House today to discuss the looming fiscal cliff, there's new insight about who Americans think should receive the most blame if lawmakers fail to reach a deal. According to the new Post poll, this is a Washington Post Pew poll, a majority of Americans say they would hold congressional Republicans responsible, while just 27% think the blame should fall squarely on President Obama's shoulders. All right, let's bring in our political insiders. John LeBoutillier, former Republican congressman for New York. Pat Caddell, Fox News contributor and a former pollster for President Jimmy Carter. Doug Schoen, he too a Fox News contributor and a former pollster for Bill Clinton. Well, here is Boehner over the White House talking to the president today, just 2 days after he said, hey, it's been a whole wasted week.
Right, and it has been a wasted week. The Republicans are divided, and as the poll numbers suggested very clearly, the Republican brand is weakening. They're getting the blame. I believe they are trying to cobble together something to avoid going over the cliff. Boehner has asserted his control over a fractured caucus, Greg, and bottom line, it remains to be seen whether they can get a deal. But I read into the statement, which was identical from the White House and from Boehner, that they are looking for something big, not small.
All right. Big would be, John, the grand bargain that 16 months ago they were on the precipice of, the president and Boehner, and suddenly it didn't happen. So?
Well, part of the reason it didn't happen in August 2011 was Boehner was told by Eric Cantor, the majority leader, who was allied with the Tea Party faction in the House, if you do this deal with Obama, you're out as Speaker.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So this time, we've had the election. Republicans are in total disarray. Boehner has stepped in. He's fired 4 members of the House off their committees.
Conservatives.
Conservatives.
Tea Party.
Tea Party people. The Tea Party is in descendancy in the House since the election. Cantor is not in the room. Boehner, I believe, is trying to do the grand bargain because he thinks it'll be the best thing, not only for the country, but for the Republicans.
It may be the only thing, John.
Yeah.
Pat, I mean, where's Mitch McConnell in all of this?
Well, first of all, the Republicans aren't even talking to each other. Cantor doesn't talk to Boehner, and nobody talks to McConnell. And he went off and did what we had, starts pursuing this debt ceiling limit, which I believe is an Achilles heel for the president. Could be something for the Republicans to challenge the president on for overreaching.
What, are you telling me Harry Reid's right? There is no quarterback here for the Republican Party?
Exactly. So Harry Reid gives him a vote, and when he pulls it back, says, oh, no, well, you just can't have
I don't even think they got a center, Greg.
And, of course, the whole idea of this was to put the Democrats on record. Do they want to give Obama, just as we said last week, does Pryor, Mary Landrieu, Manchin, do these people want to vote for this? These people are out of control. Nobody talks to anyone.
I watched the president's interview this week. I believe it was on Tuesday, and he said he is happy to look at ways to strengthen Social Security. He would be open to the idea of doing something about Medicaid and Medicare. So this is the biggest driver, right?
Yeah. The president is indicating, trial balloon, that he's willing to take on entitlements in some way. The real question for the Republicans, and I think it may be signaled by Boehner going to the White House, will they cave on rates for the wealthy? Will they go up to 37, 38% and allow the president to then put entitlements?
I think they get anything less than 39, Boehner will call it a victory. They're going to give the president the rates. The problem for the Republicans is they have to give in on taxes. They lost the election, and the president.
So far they haven't.
But I'm saying
$250,000 is not rich. Why don't you up it to $500,000?
You had an election, right? Once you get that off the table, you get spending. Remember, we still have coming in February or March, unless they do this big deal, we still have a new debt ceiling vote coming.
Greg, in the middle of what Pat was just describing, this Republican disarray where they don't talk to each other, they don't have a concerted strategy, the biggest entity in the Republican Party is the Tea Party.
Sure.
The leader of the Tea Party in the U.S. Senator, Jim DeMint, in the middle of this thing, ups and automatically, immediately resigns from the Senate.
He wants to go over to the Heritage Foundation and run that.
Yeah, and make $1.5 million a year.
Excuse me, 4 years. He still has 4 years on his term. Everyone in Washington, in the Senate, let's understand this, is in the business of cashing in. Whether it was Trent Lott, ebb and buy, or Jim DeMint now. Everybody in that town is a business of cashing
his
in.
principles for cash?
Everyone in Washington does, and that's the dirty secret that no one will talk about.
But this is a
in
man
our
who
political
had
system.
said that his principles were paramount, more important than Republican orthodoxy, and he's cut and run.
We had him on the air, and he said, look, I think I can pursue my principles better in this by advocating on behalf of the Heritage Foundation and giving money to organizations to push our cause.
It's just another sign of the disarray on the right. Since the election, this thing is totally spinning out of control.
So you go to the Washington, you're the outsider railing at the gates, and you go to the insider Heritage Foundation in Washington for $1.5 million to lead the fight, the revolution. Right. God bless us all.
I want to come back to John's argument about the grand bargain 16 months ago. As I understand it, it would have been three things to reform entitlements. One, reduce the cost of living increases.
Yep.
Number two, raise the eligibility age, for example, for Medicare. And number three, increase Medicare premiums for the rich, the high-income earners. Now, is that workable? Is that part of the grand bargain?
I think it is workable. I think the means testing, easy. CPI is something that gets lost in the equation, and raising the age is probably.
And the president's going to do this?
No, he's not going to raise the age.
I don't know, but if he gets a big deal that stabilizes the economy, reduces
Pat, you
the
say
debt,
no.
I think it could happen.
I don't think the Democrats will go with raising the age. I think
as part
in
of an overall deal,
2011, you could have gotten that deal. I think there are problems.
But you're talking about raising the age 40 years from now.
The question is, what are you going to do about arresting the spending? And the question is, and what will come out of this deal, if it's a grand bargain, about the debt limit? If the Republicans cannot give the president a lateral power.
But if Republicans got the three things you listed, the means testing, the change in inflation, and the retirement age over time, and they did raise tax rates like we talked about, that's the grand bargain. Could be worth $4 trillion over 10 years. Right. That is a huge victory for the president and for Boehner if they do it.
Let me squeeze in a quick break. Sure. Lots more to talk about here. Could 2016 see a female president in the White House? Here's former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich offering his take on outgoing Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Listen.
She's very formidable as a person. I mean, this is a very competent person. She is married to the most popular Democrat in the country. They both think it would be good for her to be president. That makes it virtually impossible to stop her for the nomination, I think. But then I thought she was frankly going to be the nominee in 2008.
Well, a majority of Americans seem to agree with Newt, 57% saying they would support a Clinton candidacy in 2016. Let's bring back John LeBoutillier, Pat Caddell, Doug Schoen, our political insider. So, Doug, what about Newt? Is he right?
Oh, he's absolutely right. Secretary Clinton, if she runs, will be the consensus Democratic nominee. She'll raise over $1 billion without a problem. There will be the sympathy factor from 2008. I think the Obamas will support Hillary. Bottom line, she's in a preeminent and commanding position.
And, John, you're shaking your head.
Well, first of all, I agree on Doug's political analysis that not since General Eisenhower in 48 and 52, when both parties wanted him to run in their party, has someone been so well positioned so many years ahead of the race. That's no doubt. But the other side of the argument is this woman should not be president of the United States because she's lived off the fact, as Newt said, that she was married to Bill Clinton, who's a super politician.
Why should that disqualify her?
Well, because, hold on, she out of sympathy, gets a U.S. Senate seat from New York, is in the Senate for 8 years. The biggest thing she does is vote for the war in Iraq, which cost her her front-runner status in the nomination in 2008.
Right.
She has done nothing as Secretary of State, really, except one thing.
She travels a lot.
She travels a lot. Denied extra security in Libya when they asked for it, and has dodged that bullet out of this thing.
Pat, what do you think of Hillary Clinton? Newt also intimated that, as currently constructed, she'd beat Republicans.
Well, the Republicans at this point, they couldn't lick anybody for anything. So I think that's what he's saying. But look, we're a long way away from this. We have 3 years. The country can change a great deal. My thing, though, is look at first ladies. I mean, suddenly first ladies, I mean, it used to be vice presidents were going to be elevated, or, you know, or Senate majority leaders or someone.
Right.
No, now it's
The new stepping stone.
The new
Yeah.
stepping stone is. And by the way, can you remember Lady Bird Johnson, Barbara Bush? No one ever talked about them for. Pat Nixon for higher office.
Lady Bird beautified Texas highways and other
places.
Greg,
in 35 years, seriously, we've come a long way. When Rosalind Carter,
who
was
really
the first lady to attend a cabinet meeting, and that was huge news. Now we have two first ladies out of the last three. Hillary became a senator and Secretary of State, and now Michelle Obama.
All right.
Polling, you're going to put it up.
Let me put that up on the screen here, because there's a very interesting poll here that she would defeat Mark Kirk in Illinois if she ran for the United States Senate, basically pulling a Hillary Clinton.
You know, Greg, we could have that pattern. Michelle Obama has been obviously both behind the scenes and in front of the curtain assertive in making her views known, obesity and the like. If she runs, I suspect she'd get elected in Illinois. She would immediately be a front runner for the nomination in 2020, I guess. And we could be in a situation where we have two first ladies effectively succeeding each other.
And she wouldn't be a carpetbagger either.
Not at all.
But,
she would be a daughter of the South Side. She'd have a great story to tell.
Okay, Pat's getting irritated, I can tell.
No, I'm not. I'm just going, what has happened to our politics? We just, celebrityness. We just trade off people up and down the line in either party. We have dynasties here.
Listen, the value, the value of name identification and the ability to raise
entertainment society.
Paramount.
The country goes to hell.
Greg, a couple things. One is Michelle, unlike Hillary, Michelle is ruled out running for office, and I take her at her word.
John, come on.
John, so did Hillary eventually.
When you're leading in the polls and you could be elected president, you don't rule anything out. Hillary herself has said she's not running.
No,
but
Michelle.
She'll be running. My point is Hillary has said she's not running either. John, when the mic gets put in front of them, the red light, things change and change frequently.
Big time.
The tally light. Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Gentlemen, the tally light is about to go off, so I've got to call it quits here. Our political insiders, John LeBoutillier, Pat Caddell, Doug Schoen, as always, thank you so much. You can get more of our political insiders every Monday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern at live.foxnews.com, and they'll, of course, be back here next Sunday, same time, same bat channel. Check them out, by the way, on Twitter at FN Insiders. Heather?